What's up, everybody? This is Terrence Plummer II. You're tuned in to the UCF Football Updates podcast. Let's go.
This is Mac Loudermilk, and you're listening to the UCF Football Updates podcast.
What up, Nine Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the UCF Football Updates podcast. It's been a while since the last podcast. It's featured a former UCF player, but today we have an absolute UCF legend on the show, former Knights wide receiver Marlon Williams. Marlon ranks top 10 all-time at UCF in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns, and had one of the best single seasons in school history his senior year. So I'm excited to have him on the pod. Welcome to the show, Marlon. How you doing?
Doing good, man. I appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, I've been excited about this. So I just want to get right into it in your background. Obviously you're a guy that's out of Alabama, come out of high school out of Mobile. And I assume at that time, 2016, 2017, UCF wasn't exactly like a big name program up there in Alabama, especially with schools like, Alabama and Auburn in the area. And you had some really big SEC offers. I was looking like Mizzou and LSU. So how did you ultimately choose UCF? What kind of convinced you to come down and, leave your home state?
Honestly, it was mostly Coach Frost and Coach Walters. Like you said, I had a lot of offers. I was committed to USC for a whole year, like from 2015 to 2016. And honestly, when I decommitted there, the relationship I had with Coach Frost and Coach Walters was really good. They brought me on an official, and that would really seal the deal. Orlando is Orlando. It's one of a kind. So, coming from Alabama is really different. So after my visit, I was like, yeah, I'm probably going to come here. I had other offers, but I knew I had my mind made up after I left.
Yeah, no doubt about that. It's probably tough to turn down some of those big schools, but I know Frost had, something exciting building, when he came. Did he kind of pitch you on that, like what his offense would be like and, kind of like just the speed and kind of UC fast and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, that's really mostly what got me here. On my official, you meet with your coach, like your receiver coach, you meet with the head coach, and we were just going over film. And basically he was telling me, like, me and Gabe, we were going to come in and we're going to play a lot. So once I heard that, I was like, I'm on board. Every guy who comes into college as a freshman wants to play. So that was really like my sign that I needed to come here. Because not a lot of guys get to play as freshmen.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's a good point. But it's interesting, though. You definitely played, every year at UCF. But obviously in the beginning there, that like kind of freshman, sophomore year, you kind of had to sit behind a little bit some extremely talented kind of veteran receivers like Traquan or Jedrick Snelson or Nixon and a bunch of these guys. Was that tough, or was that kind of something you expected, knowing you were kind of walking into that situation, and were you kind of willing to wait for that?
Well, my freshman year, I wasn't really too mad, because like you said, I played in every game as a freshman. I was catching balls. I played in the conference championship game, making big plays, and in the Peach Bowl. So I wasn't really too mad about that. I was just happy I was playing. My sophomore year was kind of tough because, I had made such good strides my freshman year, and with the coaching change, some coaches, when they come in, they already have in their mind who they want to play and stuff. So, I had to program myself and reset. I know it was kind of weird. It was a lot of times I wanted to leave, honestly. That my sophomore year was pretty tough.
Because of the coaching change or what?
Yeah, the coaching change for sure. My receiver coach who came in, I still talk to him today, Coach Wyatt. He's at Boston College now. But he'll tell you, if you ask him, I used to come in his office every day like, man, y'all don't want me here. Y'all don't want me to play. I'm going to leave. He just kept telling me, man, just stay here. Just keep grinding, Sometimes that's just how it works. You have to show people why you should play. He was like, I definitely think you should play. But it was just a lot of stuff that was going on, And honestly, I think it might have helped me later on in my career, taught me, like, everything's not going to go your way, But it worked out for the best for me. But it was a lot of times I was definitely going to leave.
Well, we're glad you stayed as a UCF Nation's real happy you stayed. But, that it's kind of crazy. I always find it interesting to kind of interview the guys that had their freshman year in 2017, because when you were getting recruited the previous year, UCF was, 6-7. They were coming off a bowl loss to Arkansas State. I don't think most people at least did not expect that type of jump. What was that like your freshman year walking into a team that you know, when you were getting recruited, probably didn't think you were going to be 13-0 playing Auburn and, you know, from your home state in the Peach Bowl. So what was that like experiencing that as a freshman?
Honestly, like people ask me that all the time. I didn't even know we went 6 or 7 years before I came. Like I didn't ask any questions. That was probably me being young and just naive. But I really didn't answer. I mean, ask any questions like, "What was our record last year?" Blah blah blah. It was none of that. So like when I came on campus, the culture was already starting to change. So like I didn't get the bad culture if that makes sense. Like all I saw was guys working, trying to flip the culture of the program around. They had went 0-12 2 years before that, then went 6-7. So like if we're being honest, they really were already making improvements. I think the guys that came in my freshman year, we just helped them over the top. Especially the guys that played, and that class right before me too. They had a big part of it too.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I mean, so I mean, you go 13-0 that year, then you have that really tough coaching change, which was obviously, emotional for, the team, and you could see it on Frost's face, when he was leaving and everything. But when you guys did kind of switch over to Heupel, talk about that like transition and like, did you guys expect to kind of run it back like that, being that, obviously you still had a lot of talent, but you did lose some key pieces from the team and also a new coaching staff. What was that like?
Honestly, so when Hyper first came, we really didn't, I don't know. It
Gel with
was like,
them or?
yeah, yeah. You know how like you have a parent, they lead a household and the stepdad comes in. That's kind of how it was. It was kind of
Okay.
rocky at first. Like I remember the first meeting, and everybody was like, "Man, who is this guy?" But then I think towards the end of camp and like the first couple of games, people started to buy in. It was still some guys that was like, "Man, we wish Frost was here." But Frost is a great coach, so there's people still asking for him to come back now. But that had nothing to do with hype. I think we was just so spoiled by Coach Frost. It changed our mindset.
Yeah, it was a lot of people describe Frost as a player's coach, guy that everyone got along with. What was Heupel's style? Was he someone that was good to, easy to get along with? I know he kind of let you guys do your thing. Like he didn't want to change too much when he came in because you just come off an undefeated season. But like, what kind of coach was he to you guys?
I think he tried to be a player's coach, but at the same time, that was his first year being a head coach when he first came in. So, of course, it's some stuff that he's not going to be really well at. Some stuff he gonna mess up on. And we were young and we didn't get that, but that shows you that everybody needs growth because when he went to Tennessee, see what he's doing at Tennessee now.
Yeah.
He's doing really well up there. I think it was just him being a new coach and us being spoiled by Frost. It was just kind of, it was rocky at first. I mean, we still did pretty well when he was there. We didn't. It's not like we fell off, or anything. It was just at first it was just a weird relationship, but after a while, a lot of guys start to click with him.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, but so yeah, you guys pretty much, you run it back and then you run into LSU, which we didn't know at the time ended up becoming a juggernaut, one of the best college football teams of all time, but hung really tough. And it's one of the biggest what ifs, but if Mackenzie Milton is healthy for that game, do we win that game?
I think so. I mean, we lost by what, like 4 or 5?
Yeah, I think it was like a touchdown. Yeah.
Yeah, we lost by that, and DJ had only played 4 games, and it's not like he had any experience. He didn't play he didn't play his freshman year and last year, and then the next year he was just thrown in the fire. So I believe if McKenzie was there, we would have won.
Yeah, man.
But it's all what ifs.
It is a what if, but
Yeah.
either way, hell of a year. Tough to end that winning streak, but either way, it was a great year. Then the following year, you obviously there's some more changes. Obviously then you have Dylan Gabriel come in at quarterback, who is arguably just as good as McKenzie, and you have a 10-win season. Was that like being your first 2 years at UCF? You literally only experienced one loss. Then that year, we end up losing a few regular season games. I think Cincinnati, a couple others. How did that did you kind of still that year have that expectation to maybe not necessarily win every game, but be almost as good? And was it kind of tough experiencing multiple in-season losses?
Yeah, no, it definitely was. I think My junior year was probably like one of the toughest years, like as a team, because we had been used to winning every game. We lost one game, and that was in a bowl game, so it was pretty tough. Locker room got kind of rocky that year,
Oh,
especially when
really?
we lost who we lost to first.
Was it
I think we lost to Cincinnati first,
Yeah,
and then we
Cincinnati.
lost to Pitt. Then I think we lost to Tulsa that year. I think
Yeah,
that
it was
was the
Tulsa. It was the
game.
Tulsa
Yeah,
year. Yeah.
yeah. Tulsa was the game that was pretty crazy in the locker room that year. I mean, especially they were 2-9 that year.
Hmm.
I it was kind of crazy that day.
I don't know if you follow like UCF history before you were there, but Tulsa has always had our number. I don't know, like so back we used to be in Conference USA with them, and when I was in school, like 2007, 2008, they beat us. I swear every time except for one. The one time we actually beat them was in the Conference USA championship, but other than that, they beat us like every year, and they'd be like a 2-3 win team and still win. So I don't know, it's just one of those things that had our number.
Nah, and it's crazy because before that game, they kept saying that they were like, "Man, listen, we always lose to Tulsa, so like, don't go there. Don't be lackadaisical." And honestly, they were 2-9 that year, but they weren't a bad football team. Like
Hmm.
when we played them, they weren't bad. Like, and it showed the next year they lost like one or two games the next year. So,
Yeah.
they weren't bad. It was just sometimes the ball just don't go your way. And yeah, that's a game. I think that's one of the only games that really makes me mad when I look back at it when we lost to Tulsa.
Yeah, I hear that. Well, it's interesting. What, like you have a 13-win season, then you had a 10-win season. Like on paper, that's not like a huge difference, like wins losses. It's three losses. But what is that difference that made you guys undefeated for 2 years and then go to three losses? It's not like a massive drop off, but what is that difference between like an undefeated team and then like a three-loss team like you were in 19?
Honestly, it felt like if you ask a lot of guys on the team, it felt like the world was over. Like,
Yeah,
like we lost. Like we was like, man, what are we doing? Like, and if you really look back at it, it wasn't a bad season. We
not at
lost
all.
we lost three games. Like that's a great season. I'm not gonna say it's a great season, but it wasn't up to our standards. I think like the standard that we had built, it was really championship or bust for us. And I mean, it literally like it was tough. A lot of us we weren't really happy about it because you got to think the guys that were seniors, juniors, and sophomores, we didn't lose for 2 years straight.
Yeah.
So you losing three games in the season, it was tough. I mean, but we still stuck together. But we felt like it was a letdown. We definitely felt like that year was a letdown. That third year.
Well, like, what is that difference? Is it like was it a talent difference or was it a chemistry thing? Like, what do you think kind of, or is it just the expectations, the pressure? Like, what kind of got to that level?
Honestly, I just think that it was a lot of things. It wasn't talent because we still had the same guys. All the guys that played those first 2 years, they were still there. Like we lost a couple of guys like here and there, but
Yeah,
we still had talent. I just felt like some games we didn't go in as prepared, or we didn't. We had expected to win every game, so some weeks I guess we just didn't pay attention to the details. It was small things like the Pitt game. We lost on a double pass. Like
yeah,
so, like it was just certain stuff like the ball just didn't roll out way that week. I mean, the Tulsa game, that was the only game that people were like, "Man, what are we doing?" But like the
yeah.
games we lost, like Cincinnati, Sauce Gardner, he was a freshman that year. He catches a pick six and takes us to the house. We didn't know who he was. We thought he was a scrub. He ended up being
First
one of
round
the
draft
best,
pick.
yeah, first round draft pick. So like it was just certain stuff. I mean, and at the same time, some guys weren't being utilized the way they should have been. Like that year we lost to Tulsa. I think I mean I think like up until like game seven, I had like 200 yards or something crazy like that. I finished the season with like 700 yards. So it was just like some guys who should have been getting opportunities, they didn't get them. And once the ball started rolling people's way, it started to pick up. I mean, but that happens sometimes. Coaches aren't gonna be right all the time. They pick guys sometimes who they think is best for the position, but that doesn't mean they're always going to be right. So I just think it was a mix of a lot of things: coaching, players not buying in, players. Some players were fed up. That's normal stuff on the team, though.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, it's interesting you talk about like opportunity because I remember 2019 season, I know you started to pick it up obviously in that second half of the
Mhm.
season. You really started to catch fire. But for me, watching you, the turning point really felt like that Marshall Bowl game. And you had 7 catches for 132 yards and a TD. And I was like, oh wow, like if he comes back next season, I think he's going to be the guy on the team. Did that game, that Marshall game, kind of feel like a turning point for your college career?
Yeah, actually, like I said, you call Coach Wyatt, he'll tell you. I think I met with Coach Wyatt right before that bowl game, and I was like, because we knew Gabe wasn't playing because obviously he was going to the NFL. He didn't want to get
Yeah.
hurt. So I was like, Coach, man, like, this is my game. It's my opportunity. Like, I know I can, if y'all give me the ball, I know I can take care of business. And I was also like, man, if I don't get my opportunities this game, I'm probably going to leave. Like, I'm not going to sit here for my fourth year and hope and pray for y'all to give me the ball. So, after that game, I was really confident in what I was going to do the next year. I was kind of happy too, though, because I didn't want to leave UCF, but
Yeah.
as a player who wants to, reach the next level, you got to do what's best for you sometimes. Like, you can't sit behind people for 4 years and expect something else to change. It's kind of crazy for you to do. So when we going into that game, I was like, man, I gotta ball out. And, once they threw me the ball a couple times, I was like, yeah, I got it. I dropped like 2 balls that game. Could have had like 200 yards. So, you know, I don't know. It was a great game for me. I really do think that was a turning point in my career though at UCF.
Yeah, and you really kind of took that momentum into the next season. 2020 obviously was shortened by the COVID year, but people don't realize. You played in only 8 games that year because I think there was only 10 on the season. But
Yeah.
you might have missed a couple, and then I think you didn't play in the bowl game. But you had 1,039 yards and 10 TDs in 8 games. If you kind of extrapolate that over, if it was a full season, maybe 13, 14 games, you probably would have had the single best, receiving season in
Right.
school history. It was crazy. I was looking at the stats. You only had 3 games with under 100 yards, and your worst game was 87 yards. So, epic season. We'll always remember that. Talk about that 2020 season. Were you just kind of in a groove that year? Obviously, you were the
Mhm.
number one receiver and getting the most targets, but like kind of talk about, that mentality and that kind of momentum you had that year.
Man, honestly, it was just that I was ready for my opportunity. I had waited 3 years to be the guy, and I felt like I could have been like, don't get me wrong, we had Gabe, but like I could have been. I felt like the 2 years prior to that, I could have been a number 2 guy.
Yeah.
And I showed that the last half of my junior year. So it was like my senior year. I was like, man, I have to take it. I have to take this advantage. Like I've been crying, complaining about being the guy. I can't not perform. And even if you go to the Georgia Tech game, my first game that year, I didn't really touch the ball until the second half, and I ended up with like 150 that game. And two, like it was just because that I remember going into halftime. I'm like, man, this can't be how this season's gonna go again. Like I'm not touching the ball again. And then I think from that second half on, it was lights. It was lights out. And I talk about it all the time. Like Gabe, I tell Gabe, I'm like, Gabe, you lucky we didn't have a full season. Like you're lucky. Because I would have had the best receiving year ever at UCF. I probably had like 20 touchdowns. Like at a point, me and Devontae Smith were going back and forth every game.
I remember that.
Yeah, my last two games I missed because obviously I had a Jones fracture. I was trying to get ready for the next levels, and I had to get surgery. But even against Cincinnati, I played with a broken foot that game just because I had waited so long to be able to have their moments, and I couldn't miss it. I definitely wish I would have had a full season. I wanted to see what that season would look like. Probably had like 2,000 yards.
I think you would have. The all-time single season record at UCF for one season is by Gabe with 1,241 yards. There's no question you would have broken that at the very least. So, but still, really cool season to watch as fans. And it's funny. Like I feel like since that, like your era, 17 to 20 was, I feel like the last time in school history where we had just this extreme collection of talent at wide receiver. Obviously, the last couple of years, we've had some guys like Javon Baker and Kobe Hudson and stuff, but like, and it's such a different era. Like if the transfer portal existed back then, you probably would have been gone. You said there's
I tell people all the time, I would have left if because my whole thing was I didn't want to go somewhere and have to sit out.
Yeah.
But these guys don't have to do that. I probably would have left immediately. Like, and that's why like I tell people when I get into Twitter debates, I'm like trying to tell you like I could have went somewhere else, and I could have what I did my senior year. I could have did my sophomore year. I'm not saying probably not to that magnitude, but I could have did somewhat like that somewhere else, and then my career I could have had maybe 3,000 career yards. And it's just like I want people to understand that a lot of kids don't give up just to give up. You got your small percentage that want to, they want to give up just because something didn't go their way one time. But it's a lot of guys that fight and crawl and scratch every day trying to be the guy. And they do everything right. They don't get in trouble. They go to class and all that. And sometimes it just doesn't fall in their favor. So like, I don't know. I'm touchy about that subject because I know, like, I'm honest with myself. I know if the transfer portal was in when I was in school, I wouldn't have finished at UCF. I'm glad I did. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad I did, but I know I wouldn't have because of the opportunities that I could have possibly gotten somewhere else. And it's a lot of guys. Like, it's a lot of guys I played with. They came to work every day. They lunch pail, did their job, and they just didn't get the opportunities. So I don't know. I definitely am pro. I'm pro transfer portal, but I do think that some guys shouldn't just leave the first time something happens. I don't really care about the money because I didn't get any money when I was in college. So it's like that's a bonus for me. Like, I feel like as a college athlete, if you can get paid to play football, you're winning regardless. If you don't step on the field and you get paid X amount of dollars, you're winning.
100%. No, I mean, I'm with you there. I think all the things that are going on in college football as a collective whole have kind of hurt the sport in the sense of maybe just from a fan perspective. Like, I'm for college players making money. I always have been. Like, I always thought it was ridiculous if it's like you sign an autograph and then you're like suspended or get in trouble. Like, it's stupid. But like, I think when you combine the NIL with the portal, with it being like we went from a million rules to like no rules, that's where I think they just need some sort of like structure that would be a little better. Because and I'm with you, the portal too. I mean, look, I get it. You only have 4 or 5 years to showcase yourself, and if you're not playing, you're losing time, which I get
You
that.
are.
But I guess my thing is like when you have a guy that's, and we've seen this recently even at UCF, we've had some guys that got a ton of playing time. They're, doing really well, and then they leave. And I'm assuming it's kind of because of money, because it's not playing time. That's the only part that sucks is like, I guess it's hard to be like, called a loyalty card because, coaches can leave at any point, whatever. But how do you feel about that when a guy transfers, if he's a starter, getting a ton of playing time, all that type of stuff? How do you feel about that?
Okay, so my thing is, you could be a starter, right? But that doesn't mean you're getting the ball. I started half of my junior year and I didn't touch the ball. Like, you can start for 3 years and you're just a role player. Some people want more for themselves, and like, I get it, it's 4 games into the season, but then like my mindset is, well, that means that somebody who's working just like him, they get the opportunity now.
Yep.
They get to showcase what they want to do. And like, my whole thing is, if a kid doesn't want to be somewhere, he shouldn't have to be there. Because in any other aspect of life, if you don't want to be there, you can choose not to be there. And nobody's going to scrutinize you. Nobody's going to talk about you. They're going to be like, do what's best for you. I get it, fans. Fans love their team and they love, the team that they root for. But at the end of the day, these kids, they know they only have 4 years, 4 to 5 years to do what they have to do. And when you spend 3 years and you're not getting the results that you want, and you work hard, you go to school every day, you don't get in trouble, you do this, you do that. What are you telling the kid? Like, oh, well, if you stick it out and nothing happens, well, at least you stay for 4 years, you were loyal. Like, that's not fair. That's not fair to them. I get it. Yeah, it should be rules. But let's be honest, before transfer portal, people were breaking rules all the time. NIL was a thing before NIL was even out.
True.
It was kids getting challengers, charges, and all this before NIL came out.
Yeah.
The only difference was a coach could keep you at school and could basically tell you where you couldn't transfer to.
Right.
Now you can't do that. Now I have my future is in my hands. I feel like my future shouldn't be a player who's in college. His future shouldn't be in anybody else's hands, because a coach is going to do what's best for him. They may tell. So it's some coaches. Don't get me wrong. It's some coaches that really, truly, genuinely, they're there for you. But at the end of the day, they have to take care of their family. They have to make the best decisions for their family. So they're going to do whatever they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you whatever. You know how many times a coach will tell me, yeah, man, you're going to touch the ball this week. We're going to throw you the ball 10 times. We're going to give you 7 plays. It's a package for you. You get to the game, you never run it. You're on the sideline.
Right.
We don't know what goes on at practice. We just see game day. They could have told a player, "Hey man, we're gonna give you 7. We're gonna throw you the ball 7 times this game, and you touch the ball 1 time. How many times can you take that? That's like you working at a job and your boss keeps saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna give you a raise next week.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're gonna give you a raise next month." After a while, you're gonna be like, "Hey man, stop! Why are you lying to me?
Right.
You're gonna get frustrated." So like that's what my whole thing is. I get it. Fans want to be loyal to their alma mater and their school that they cheer for. But at the same time, we don't know what's going on in the locker room.
That's true.
We just see we just see what's going on Saturday. We don't know what's going on. Like that's my whole thing. I get it. Kids. It is a lot of kids that just transferring just to transfer. But at the same time, I don't care because think about it. Before 20, when it now come out 2020, 2021,
Yeah, I think.
before that came out, it's so many players, college players that didn't get to get paid while the school made money off of them. And how I see it, if a kid can go to 4 different schools and get paid 4 times, don't get me wrong, I think that's excessive. I'm just saying, but if he can get paid 4 different times, say let's be honest, 99% of the people who play college football, they're not playing in the NFL.
True.
So if I can make me some money, some life changing money, while I get my degree, who cares? I get it. It's not 20 years ago. 20 years ago, everybody stayed loyal. You couldn't do this, but life changes. I mean, football changes. The quality of the game hasn't changed. It's just that people are mad that kids aren't staying at a school for a certain amount of years. You're still getting the same guys that's playing. The quality of football is going up. I do think that they should take the 4 game thing out,
Yeah.
but give them an extra year though, because okay, think about it. If I'm a junior, right, and I only have 4 years, in my 3rd year, I have to stick it out a whole year, and I don't get utilized. I just wasted a whole year.
Yeah, that's true.
So now, really, I'm behind. Now I just wasted a whole year, and now what? Now I'm behind the 8 ball again. I don't know. I play. I played, so it's different for me. I get it. If you haven't done it, you don't really know what goes into it. Like unless you're a coach or you've been an AD, you don't know what goes into it. You just see what happens on Saturday. So I get it. Fans are going to be fans. That's
Yeah.
just
That's just
that's
how
a
it
part
is.
of the
Yeah.
game. That's just part of the game.
Yeah, and I agree. That's what I said. I said on my page the other day, I was like, I just think you should just get 5 years automatic,
Right.
regardless of injury. Because what I don't like is this whole sitting out for 4 games. Because like, okay, let's just say college football is kind of like mini NFL now. It's not as if like a player on the Jets just like 4 games in could be like, nah, I'm sitting out the rest of the year. Like there would be a huge amount of scrutiny. And like, if he wasn't injured, you can't just do that. And if you're getting paid too, you can't just be like, no, I'm good. I'm sitting out and I'll just go get another team next year. Like he probably wouldn't even get signed because he did that. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying is like, we're making it more like the NFL, which is fine. Get paid, transfer. But yeah, I think 4 games in, instead of it being like you lose a year, yeah, you just get an extra year no matter what kind of like, that's what I'd be good with. But anyways, moving on, some really good perspective from you, especially from a player that, kind of lived it. And, you weren't around during that nil and transfer area, but, you obviously have a lot of strong opinions on it that are, really valuable insight. So, after that, breakout season you had there, your senior year, you're going to the next level. I do remember you briefly being signed with the Texans. And if you don't want to talk about it, don't want to talk about whatever kind of happened with that. Because I remember you got signed and all of a sudden it was like, all right, when you kind of shifted over to a different, professional league.
Right. So, I broke my foot the last game of the year. Well, like 2 games before the last game.
Mm-hmm.
And I had surgery and I had a Jones fracture. You have a Jones fracture, more than likely, most people who break their foot in that area, it breaks again. Okay. So mine re-broke like 2-3 months before we were supposed to report for training camp. So we got up there, I did my physical, damaged goods. That's just how it goes. Like I didn't get to go on the field or nothing. I worked out for like 8 teams after that. And, every workout I had, they were like, man, you look great. You look great. Like, we want to sign you. We have to pass a physical. And I failed every one of them. So it was like, it was basically bad luck, I mean, that's why I'm not, it doesn't hurt me, like, because I know it's not what I did on the field. It's something I couldn't control. It was a freak injury that, it takes a while to heal. I can't really can't sit here and be sad about it. I'm still getting paid to play football right now. It's not
For
NFL
sure.
money. Don't get me wrong, it's not NFL money, but I would rather be doing this than been working a regular job and being miserable all day. You know.
Yeah, facts. No, I get
Yeah.
that. Well, what's pretty cool is, I mean, you've, for your whole pro career, you've been on, one team and, I think in some of these other leagues like USFL, UFL, and, like even the XFL, you see a lot of times guys are jumping around, maybe they're a different league or trying to get the NFL, or maybe they're switching over from the XFL to USFL. And I know now it's kind of all under the UFL umbrella, but I guess Birmingham has been a team that's kind of survived all of the leagues. So what's kind of been that experience, like kind of being Birmingham? And if I read this correctly, have you won a championship every single year you've been in the league?
Yeah, I have. Actually, I have.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. So you guys are
Yeah.
back to back to back champs.
Right. Yeah. Now we are. Honestly, I think it was. Honestly, I think it was my blessing from God. Honestly, like I got to play back in Alabama, got to play in my home state. And I went to a team that was really good. Like, and we have a good coaching staff, good culture around there. I'm honestly just blessed because it's a lot of guys that do play in the league and they jump from team to team to team. And honestly, I don't see how they do it because you really can't get a feel for the program you're a part of or the team you're a part of. You can't get a steady groove. I know coming into training camp, I know the playbook. I get to just perform. I mean, I love playing for the Stallions. Of course, I'm trying to reach the next level to the NFL. But I got to stay healthy first. I tore my pec in the last game in the championship game, but at least I played the whole season. So
Yeah.
just trying to stay healthy. Still young too. I'm younger than guys that's in college right now. So
That's crazy.
yeah. So it's like, and I've been out of school for what, 4 years. So it's like I'm still chasing this dream. So whatever happens, whatever happens.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. I mean, I know, it looks like last year you were, tied for the team and receiving touchdowns. You were second in receptions. Obviously, having a really good career at Birmingham, being one of the leading receivers. And it looks like the roster is kind of full with a lot of college stars. I see, the quarterback Adrian Martinez, Matt Corral. I mean, all those guys I remember from college. So, I mean, yeah, is the goal still to get to the NFL?
Yeah, yeah. Of course it is. If I wasn't playing it, if I wasn't trying to get to the NFL, I probably wouldn't be playing, honestly. I'll probably be coaching somewhere. That's what I'm probably going to do next. Well, it's not probably. That's what I'm going to do next. And in the offseason, I coach at a co-ed high school in Orlando, So
Okay.
I think that's my next journey in life. I love, developing kids, making them better players and stuff. And I just feel like I've been playing football since I was 4. I'm 25. I've been playing longer than I've been alive. So, almost longer than I've been alive. I can't let go of football. So I'll definitely be a coach.
How about a coach at UCF?
I wish. I hope so. That's probably my dream job. Probably if I can be back at UCF coaching, that would probably make my career.
Hey man, we need you coaching receivers again because it's been. I remember since I've been watching UCF since 2007, my freshman year, and wide receiver and DB were never ever a problem. It didn't matter what conference we're in. And now it seems to be two of the bigger problems. I mean,
Right.
there's some talent there, but not like it was when you were on the team. But it's that'd be awesome to see you back there. I know we've had some former players coach, but it'd be great to see you back in the wide receiver room.
Right. Nah, definitely. Before my career is over with coaching, I'm definitely going to be coaching at UCF, and that definitely has to happen.
Absolutely. Well, I want to get into, before I let you head out is, talking about a little bit today's team. You've been very vocal on Twitter. I know you kind of sometimes go back and forth with fans, and you have a lot of really good insight and opinions on, what's going on today. Obviously, these last 2 weeks, the volume around UCF football has been very loud and, mostly negative, specifically with the coaching staff and obviously having kind of back-to-back blowout losses to teams that were really high profile in Colorado and Florida. I mean, something you mentioned earlier on the podcast, you talked about standards. And I think obviously the players, when you were there, adopted that. And then us as fans, we kind of adopted that standard. I think the most logical fan knows you're not going to go undefeated every single year,
Right, for sure.
right. But we're talking now, 4 years into this thing, and Gus, has had 2 9-win seasons, not bad, but he's been regressing seemingly. And I know it's coincided with going into a step up in the conference, but what are you kind of seeing from this team? And I mean, are you kind of on that negative bandwagon, or what do you think's going on?
I'm not really on the negative bandwagon. I just, as players, like even the guys that played before me, like guys I never played with, they played 10 years before I even got to UCF. Like we all say, like it's just the standard. Of course, we know you're not going to go undefeated every year. We just feel like somebody on that team or somebody who's a part of the locker room has to be the vocal leader. Somebody has to set the standard. And I'm pretty sure they're trying to, it sometimes the process takes a long time, but it's just that I think a lot of us, we wish we could have played in the Big 12.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like they get to play in great environments every week, and I think we're not really not mad at them. We just want them to succeed. We want them to be able to experience what we experience. Of course, it's going to be different going into the Big 12. There's way more teams in that conference than the conferences we played in, from top to bottom. But I just feel like it might be a culture thing. Maybe somebody in the locker room or leaders in the locker room, they have to change the culture, because most of the time when teams don't win, it's because of the culture of the locker room. When I was there, we all were brothers. Like, I would hang out with D linemen, DBs, linebacker. We would go, when we went out, it would be 40 of us. I don't know. I'm not in the locker room, so I don't know if that's team culture. It could be, it couldn't be. But I just feel like to reach a certain standard, everybody has to buy in. And it starts with everybody. It starts with the coaches. Everybody has to buy in. I feel like until everybody buys in, the seasons, the results that the fans, the players, the coaches want to see, it won't reach it until everybody buys in. Like I said, I'm not in the locker room, so I can't really talk about what I think is going on, because I don't know what's going on. I'm just giving my opinion on what I see. And, some weeks, we look good, some weeks we don't. And that's just college football. But I just feel like we have all this talent on the team. Got to start performing. That's just it. It's no shot at anybody. We just have to perform, especially for the guys that wish we could play in these conferences. Because if we got to play in this conference my freshman and sophomore year and we were undefeated, we'll be in the playoffs.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I really think it is. I think guys like me, other guys who played, they just want our team to go to the playoffs so we can tell other people, like, hey, we told y'all, like, we get the right opportunity, we get in the right conference, we can play with anybody. And I do think we can play with anybody. I just feel like the culture of the team has to change. That's all.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm pretty close with Kazi. He's my neighbor, and I speak with Trey Neal, and I've heard a lot of former players say they don't feel though like a leader among the players has really stepped up. He says like they notice on the sidelines there's not anyone kind of getting guys motivated or chewing people out when they mess up. Are you kind of do you think there's like a lack of player leadership on the team?
See, honestly, I can't speak to that either. Because like I said, my team was different. Like, we could talk to each other crazy. Like, we come off the sideline and somebody messes up, you're going to hear it. Like, the offense not scoring, defense coming over there, hey, y'all need to pick it up.
Right.
Like, but that's different coaches. Like, maybe the coaches, they don't like that. They may tell them, hey, we'll handle that. Y'all handle the plan. Like, I don't know. We don't know what's going on. I do think that you do need that, because when you're player motivated, it's very hard to beat teams that are player motivated. When coaches have to motivate you, you're not going to be really well. You're not going to be too good. You're not going to perform on the field. But this is what I see. I see the energy that we used to have on the sideline from the guys that weren't playing is not the same. That's the only thing I can see, because I can actually look at that and see. I just feel like people have to be more excited just because you're playing. Like, it was times where I wasn't getting the ball at all as a sophomore, freshman, junior, but I'm still happy for my teammates. I didn't care. Like, of course, the competitor in me, I wanted the ball, but as long as we're winning, I'm not going to complain. We're winning. Like, of course, I want what's best for me, but at the same time, a true teammate is going to cheer on their teammate regardless of what's going on. And I just feel like when I watch the games, they're not jumping up and down on the sidelines like we used to do. 2017, 2018 was different. Like, we were all for each other. we would run through a wall for each other. And like I said, I'm not a part of that team, so I can't really say that's not that. I can't say that they aren't doing it, but looking at it, it doesn't look like they're as team oriented. I mean, they could be, like I said, but that's just me being an observer. That's all.
Yeah. What do you think? I mean, a lot of the negativity right now surrounds around Gus. Like, I know you didn't play under him or anything, but like, what do you
Mhm.
think of him and his offense? And what do you see? Like, a lot of fans are complaining. I mean, look, if you haven't played, it's harder. But I think at least if you're a
Mhm.
very big observer of football, you at least know basic plays and things like that.
Mhm.
It does feel like the playbook kind of repeats the same things over and over. I mean, what do you think is wrong with the offense? Is it a quarterback situation? Is it a coaching
Mhm.
situation? And just kind of
Mhm.
your overall thoughts on Gus?
I mean, my thoughts on the offense is I think that UCF is a little spoiled. We had Coach Frost and we had Hyper, and we're used to scoring 40 points a game. We went on that streak where we scored 30 points for 30 games straight, like
Yeah.
or more. So, I think we're a little spoiled in that aspect, but at the same time, as a receiver, I don't think that I don't think that we throw the ball enough vertically.
Yeah.
I know, Gus's playbook, he likes to run the ball. He's run it, play action, stuff like that. I just feel like we could to maximize, the team's potential, we could throw the ball down the field a lot more. And I think that will open it up, even though we don't throw the ball, we have a great running game. But if if we open up the passing game a lot more, the running game will be even better because people have to respect what we're doing outside. But I just feel like it's not as productive right now because they know coming in the game we're going to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and coach has shown that he's going to run the ball. If you got 11 guys in the box, 10-9,
Right.
he's not shying away from it. But at some point, I feel like we just have to, spread the ball out more. I mean, I think he has a great track record of being a coach. He had great records at Auburn. He's doing his first 2 years he won 9 games. I just feel like he has to revamp the offense a little bit because honestly, I haven't been in the locker room, so I can't tell you what type of coach he is. Like
Yeah.
that's just my opinion.
But you
But
think he's the right man for the job?
I mean, I think he's doing the right job. I think he's doing the best that he can right now. I mean, I can't say who's best for the job
Yeah.
because nobody thought nobody thought Coach Frost was going to be the right man for the job. I mean, we went 0-12, so anybody who we hired, you
That was gonna
would
be
have
better,
thought
right?
you
Yeah.
would have thought was going to be better. I mean, and like at the same time, I think we're spoiled, us and the fans, players and the fans, because the success we had from 0-12 to 12-0 was so quick that we expect it to happen so the same way, and that's just not how it goes. Like sometimes it may take 4, 5, 6 years. That's I don't think we should take that long because we have the talent on the team now. But we never know. It might take 4 or 5 years. I hope not because we have a lot of talent on the team. Like RJ Harvey, he's probably the best running back we've had in a while. And I played with
Oh
some
yeah.
dogs. I played with some dogs. Like don't get me. I don't know. I think he could have played. I think he could have played with us. Well, I don't. I know he could have played with
Yeah,
us.
he's really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he could have played with us. Like he's a dog, and I just feel like we should be maximizing our potential a little bit more. I will say that. We have a lot of guys on the team, who are actual dogs. They show up, they look the part. I just feel like we have to put guys in the right position. Honestly, I mean, and we could turn the season around. We're just upset we lost 2 games in a row, but we only lost 2 games. Let's be honest. We could win the rest of the games and finish the season 10-2,
Oh
and
yeah,
and
then the
then
whole narrative changes then.
yeah, the whole narrative changes. So it's just like I don't know. I think we're just frustrated because last year we won 6 games last year. The year before that it was iffy. I mean, but at the same time, that's just how college football works. Sometimes people have their ups and downs. Like, of course, people look at teams like Alabama, Georgia, and stuff like that. They have a long history of winning. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's just a part of them. Like they don't have to really recruit, honestly. Of course, they do have to recruit per se, but like the school name does the recruiting for itself. Like they're
That's
going to
true.
be Georgia and Alabama every year because of the history of their name. Like I feel like we can play with we could be there if we take care of business because we've won recently. We've done really well. I just feel like we have to keep. I feel like we can't get complacent. That's what I think. I think we can't get complacent and fall on what we did a couple of years ago. Because if we're being honest, 2017, 2018, that's like 5, 6 years ago. Like
Yeah.
that's I like literally kids who were in middle school or in college right now when I was in college. Like so
That's true.
it's a long time. Like we can't keep holding on to what we did 2017, 2018. Like we have
Yeah.
to
That's so
keep
hard to do
building.
anyways. Like even
Yeah,
if you have all the talent in the world.
yeah. Like it's just it's just how college football is. I just feel like we should I don't know, we should not panic so soon. Of course, a lot of the stuff we say on Twitter is out of frustration. A lot of times I just be talking, honestly. I just like
Yeah, same.
it's just an outlet, honestly. But
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I do think we should be winning games. Like the Colorado game, like I was more disappointed for that game because it was basically like a Cincinnati game for us, like in 2018. And I felt like if we
Hmm.
win that game, you know, that's that confidence booster right there. You know, national TV, prime playing against prime. I don't know. I just feel like that was a missed opportunity or like a missed milestone in our school history. That's what
It
that's
was.
yeah. I feel like if we win that game, that's like that win. You know how you go to certain schools, you be like, hey, that game right there is a game I always remember. I feel like that game right there, if we win that's a game that goes along with the Peach Bowl with Memphis, with Cincinnati. I feel like we missed the opportunity on that one. I don't
We
really care
did.
about Florida. Like, I mean, we should have won against Florida, but like Florida, let's be honest, Florida hasn't been Florida in a long time, in a couple
Yeah.
of years. Like
Which
they
makes it more
but
disappointing. Like we should have beaten them in their worst season.
and we should have won, but like let's be honest, Florida can still have a claim to fame because of their name, because of the reputation that they built. It's not because you be honest, last couple of years they really haven't done anything. So, like, I feel like for us to get to that point, we have to start. We have to bring the sense of urgency up. Like, we can't get complacent. We can't be like, oh well, next year or well, we got to go get more 5 stars. That's not the case. It's plenty of teams in the country that have 5 stars and they don't win any games. I think the Big 12 signed 3 5 stars in every team last year for this upcoming year. 5 stars really don't mean anything. I mean, you can be a 5 star in college. I mean, in high school and come to college and you're nothing. It's about who wants to work and who wants to get better. You know, I mean, like wasn't Chris Johnson a 2 star? Like,
Yeah,
hey,
exactly. The stars
like
sometimes don't really mean much.
Gabe was a 3 star. I was a 3 star, a 4 star on whatever site depending on what site you're on. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like
Yeah.
McKenzie, I don't know what McKenzie 3 star.
I think
He's
he's a
one of the
low
best
three
quarter.
star. Yeah.
He's one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback we've ever had at UCF.
Right. No, there's no doubt about it. I mean, so that's I'm glad. So I know some players keep up, some don't, but it sounds like you pretty much are really into watching all the UCF games. You're still really keep up with it, right?
Right. Yeah. I watch every game. Like I said, like this is like football is it's not my life, but it's my life.
Yeah, for sure.
I watch football all the time. Like I could be driving. If UCF's playing, I'm watching the game. Like and it's like I don't know. I'm passionate about UCF because it's changed my life. It's put me in positions like to play football. Like I could say I played on 2 back-to-back undefeated teams,
Yeah.
won championships. Like a lot of people can't say that. Like I've lost at UCF, I lost maybe 5 games that I played in. I
Mm-hmm.
lost 5 games. I can't, like the
That's
standard is the
crazy.
standard. Yeah, the standard is the standard. Like that's my whole thing. That's why I think the guys who played in 2017, 2018, even the guys that played in 2019 and 2020, like we've been honest, we lost 3 games in 2019. That's not a lot.
No, it's
That's not a
not.
lot. That's not a lot of games. Like people lose 3 games every season. So I
That,
mean, I just feel like it's the standard. I think the players want the program to be held to a certain standard, and we get some. But we, like I said, success doesn't happen overnight. Like we are in a bigger conference now, so I mean, maybe we have to rearrange how we're approaching stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a lot of good points, and it's awesome to see, former players of your stature still really keeping up with it and being passionate about UCF. And then I have some rapid fire questions I want to get to right after this, just kind of last question. Now, I know being, obviously you're in a new locker room now in Birmingham, and there's I already mentioned some of the players, some of your teammates. You got guys from Nebraska, Ole Miss. What is there, like, maybe you guys don't talk about college ball that often, but what is their kind of perception of a program like UCF now that we're in the Big 12? Do they still look at us how we may have been looked at 10, 15 years ago? Or how do they kind of view UCF teams that are like, Nebraska's in the Big 10 and Ole Miss in the SEC? How do they kind of view UCF when you tell them you played there or whatnot?
It's actually like it's kind of funny because like when I talk to guys or like players, they're like, you played in 2017, 2018. It was like, oh yeah, y'all were legit, man. You got some players that are like, you got some people like, man, y'all ain't play nobody, but on the team, they think they could have beat us because they went to South Carolina, they went to the name schools. But let's be honest, we were really good those 2 years.
Really good, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like now that we're in the Big 12, it's just like, okay, let's see what you can do now. That's what I get from other people who play. What are y'all gonna do now? Now y'all have to play schedule. Y'all have to play real schedules per se. You got to play full length schedules against teams that are gonna be good every week. And honestly, I mean, I see it now. Like we have to bring it every week. Like when we played in the American, we knew we were gonna probably beat Temple. We were gonna beat UConn. UConn was an easy game. Teams like that.
Yeah.
But like playing the conferences like this, you can't take any days off. You can't take weeks off, like, because everybody is good. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not the SEC where
but it's a lot tougher though, yeah.
But it's a lot tougher. Like you got teams that literally they're one or two people away from being undefeated. You got teams that still get 4 stars. They suck every year. They get 4 stars and 5 stars. It doesn't matter.
You got teams on the verge of the top 10 right now. Iowa State's
right.
11. There's a lot of teams that are really good.
Right. It's just like, and it's just they still don't want to give us our credit. That's how it's going to be always. I don't know.
We'll get there though, man. Yeah, I agree with you. It takes some time, and I think we'll get there. Hopefully, this season turns around. We get back on track this weekend against Cincy. But wanted to ask you some rapid fire questions I like to ask.
Okay.
All right. So first off, what is the best UCF jersey? At least one that you wore.
It has to be, in my opinion, it has to be the white jersey, the white space uniform we had against Houston with the space helmet. I think that's the best. I think that's the best jersey, in my opinion.
Yeah, that one's fresh. I like that one.
Yeah, sure. I think it's that one or the one I wore, the gray one we wore my senior year. I think that one was a tough one too, and the blue ones that they just wore last year.
Oh, those are good too. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I like those right there. But I think we should bring that pewter back, baby.
Yeah, no doubt. We should bring the pewter back.
I think we should bring that back.
All right. In your opinion, who was the hardest opponent you played at UCF, and like what was the toughest like DB you went up against, like opponent wise?
The toughest team we played against. It depends on what year. I would say it would have to be Cincinnati.
Sauce Gardner, probably.
Yeah, in Memphis. I think it would be those two teams. Like the teams we played out of conference, they weren't really like, when we played Stanford, they were ranked like number 9. They weren't really that good. Like, it's just because of the name. Like, it wasn't those teams. It were really hard games. LSU, of course, right. They had 20-some draft picks on their team. I think the best player I played against, to be honest, was Marcus Jones. He played for he's from Alabama too, but he played at Houston. He was their DB. He plays for the Patriots right now. He's like 5'9", played corner. He's probably the best player I've played against.
Gotcha.
In my opinion. Yeah.
What about on the team? Who, like, up in practice, who was the like toughest, I guess, DB to go up against, the one you had the most battles against in practice?
It definitely would be Aaron Robinson.
Aaron Robinson.
Yeah. Well, him, because I got to practice against him for 3 years, but before that, it was Mike Hughes. Mike Hughes, he humbled me my first college practice. He humbled me. He was a senior at that time. but we did one-on-ones. I think he drove me to the sideline. It was like that was probably the most embarrassed I ever felt. But Mike Hughes and Aaron Robinson were probably the best two DBs I played, and Richie Grant. Richie Grant too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's a
Richie
beast.
Grant too.
What about who was the funniest guy on the team that like at your time?
Man, that's a hard question. I'm not gonna lie to you. Probably I give you my top 5. It's Jemiah Pittman.
Everyone says Pittman. Everyone says Pittman.
Jemiah Pittman, DeVale, Tito. Gabe is pretty funny too. I'm not gonna hold you. Gabe is pretty funny. Probably I'll say KD, Khalil Davis. Yeah. He's a fool too. But that team we had, man, I think 2017 to 2019, I think everybody on that team was funny. I think we laughed all day, every day.
All good times then, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so this answer to fans seems obvious, but when I talk to I've talked to a lot of former UCF guys, I'll hear this guy sometimes, but I also hear a lot of different answers. Sometimes I hear a DB, sometimes I hear a wide receiver. Who was the fastest guy on the team? All fans think it's Adrian Killens, all right? But who was the fastest guy on that stretch, those couple of years there? Who was the fastest guy?
It either got to be Ken Griffin.
Okay. I've heard that.
Aaron Robinson.
Yeah, a couple people said Aaron Robinson too, yeah.
Tay Gowan, I don't know if you remember him.
I remember him.
Yeah, he was really fast. And I'm trying to see who else.
Could AK not beat them in a race, or is it just
no. AK, no, let's be honest. AK is the fastest guy on the team. I never seen him run full speed. Like he's super. He's probably the fastest guy that ever played at UCF.
Okay.
That I think. But it was like, man, honestly, it was a lot of guys on that team that was running. Nothing like AK though. AK, I think he had. We played against Memphis my freshman year. He had like a 99-yard touchdown.
I remember that.
I was on the sideline like I've never seen somebody move that fast.
That Michigan game too. You weren't there yet, but he had breakaway speed.
Yeah, that boy is fast, man. That's my boy right there, man.
For sure. Then kind of final question. What was your favorite UCF, like either restaurant on campus or maybe around Orlando? Like what was like some of the top spots you went to?
Yeah, I say Hugh Magoo's.
Oh yeah.
I think I ate that all the time. Rock and Brews. Well, when I was in college, it was Rock and Brews, Hugh Magoo's, and Publix. I was there faithfully.
There you go.
I was there faithfully. Yeah, pub subs, free. We had we had like free gift cards. We used to go over there and go run it up, man.
Hell yeah. All right, last question. What if NIL existed back when you were playing? What would be the NIL deal? I know right now it's kind of more just about money, but I know there's part of NIL that's supposed to be like a sponsorship, whether it's a car, brand, or whatever, some sort of product. What would have been your NIL kind of product?
If it wasn't a car, it probably would have been some food somewhere. Honestly, I'm just being honest. I was a simple guy. All I needed was food. Probably somewhere. Actually, it probably would have been a Hugh Magoo's. I would ask for NIL with Hugh Magoo's properly.
That'd have been a good time because they started to spread around. They're all over Florida. I think they're even in Georgia now. So it would have been a good time for that.
Yeah, no, that would have been that. I'm telling you, it would have been a lot of guys on our team. If NIL was out, they would have been rich. They would have had something like McKenzie. Could you imagine McKenzie during NIL at UCF?
That'd have been crazy.
Him and Shaquem, oh my goodness, man. They would have so much money. Like that's why like I don't really care that they're getting paid because I'm glad that they get the experience and stuff that we didn't get. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Like we didn't have to work. Like these kids have 3 cars, 3 cars, and they're in college.
They're making more than some pro players. It's crazy.
They are. But that's why I tell people, like, think about it. If I can make more money than somebody who's in the NFL before I even get to the NFL, when I have a 99% chance that I don't make it, why would I not take that? What sense does that make?
Yeah, no. When you put it like that, there's really there's no choice. You got to do it.
Like it's a 99% chance that I don't make it to the NFL. I'm going to take the money. I'm sorry. Like don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be like I'm not gonna do stuff that's like unethical, like or like against my morals. But like, I mean, if you want to give me $1 million to come to your school,
I'm in.
wow, who's gonna say if somebody came up to you and say, "Hey, I know you love your job, man. I'm gonna give you $1 million to come over here and sign your name."
I'm gone.
You know, nobody's gonna say no. Like, let's be honest. Like, people, I think people on Twitter they just like to say stuff that they know they wouldn't do. Because I know if I came up to 90% of the fans, I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna give you $2 million to leave to never be a UCF fan again. I need you to go be a USF fan." They're gonna say, "Okay, I'm going."
I'll figure it
Like,
out. I'll do it.
yeah, come on. Like, let's be real. Like, that's why I laugh at half the stuff people want to say on Twitter. It's all fun. It's all funny to me.
Yeah, people are just fired up right now. It's always going to be some irrational when it comes to your favorite team. But hey, man, I appreciate that. Was fun. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I appreciate you. Anytime you want me back, I'm down for it.
Yeah, man. No, definitely. Would love to have you back maybe sometime later this season.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, man. Well, that was another episode of the UCF Football Updates podcast. Make sure to tune in and subscribe on YouTube. Thanks again, Marlon.
I appreciate you, man.